MyMac Podcast 966. Remember the Titan?
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the MyMac.com podcast. Now, if you think back to those glorious days when the GMen went on and on about Apple's ever so certain to be released any day now Apple car that was going to be so advanced it would drive itself. In fact, you couldn't drive it even if you wanted to because there wouldn't be a steering wheel. Well, stick a pin on that because Apple has done a soft announcement that they're canceling it. In fact, the announcement was so soft that they didn't even say it and relied on all of the hype masters who have talked about it for 10 years to do it for them. Gaz, how are you today? And are you ready? Are you ready to go into the history of Project Titan once we get to that part of the show? Are you excited about it?
I'm looking forward to it actually because it's been a non-journey.
It really has.
In many ways,
Yeah.
It's been a non-journey. But we have all, not just us, but everybody has riffed on about the car, and I will keep to my dying day, right or wrong, telling you and everyone out there that if they do ever do something like that, it will be a service, and I still stick with that. However, that's on hold apparently.
Yeah. Service car on hold.
Yeah.
Never to be,
but
possibly never having existed at all. We don't really know.
Well, the thing is, I quite like the bit that you said that that they relied on the hype masters who have talked about it for years to announce it for them. They've not really done much in the way of announcing it themselves, have they? But that may come up in your history bit. So I'm looking forward to that. Yes, I certainly am.
Well,
how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm feeling pretty good. We have yet another fun event planned for March. Now, as you know, as I've talked about a couple times, we're going to the eclipse in April. We're going to go see. We're going up to Rochester, New York, to see the eclipse. April 8th, whatever that date is. Well, before we do that, now we're going to go to the National Theater here in Washington, D.C., because we have bought tickets, or I have bought tickets, to see the Book of Mormon, which is a religious musical that has nothing to do with actually trying to get you to believe in religion. Done by the South Park guys, if you don't know what the Book of Mormon is. So that right there should tell you that it's going to be a rocking and rolling good time that is going to be equal parts fun, irreverent, and meant to offend as many people as possible, all in the space of a 2-act show. So really looking forward to that. So, and I'm going to take a notebook and say, okay, I'm offended about that, and I'm offended about that. Oh, I'm sort of offended about that for my cousin Charlie. So who knows what's going to happen, but I'm sure I'm going to have a good time. What about you?
Excellent. Well, we've got lots of things planned, but this last week, my usual volunteering and bike ride, and phew, was it a hilly ride this week. I've been using the indoor trainer and losing lots of sweat. That's what I'm going to say on that one. I held on to my snooker trophy. There's about 3 of us that play snooker every 4 to 6 weeks, and I won it the previous time that we played. And
that's a card game, right?
What, snooker? You uneducated man, like I say. Anyway,
pool.
No, there are pool tables at the snooker club in a different section, and they are often being used, as are the snooker tables. You do not call snooker pool, and you cannot play pool or snooker on equal tables. Right, let's move on. Anyway, I held on to it as each of us won 2 games each, and that means the trophy stays with the previous winner, which was me. Hurrah!
Yay!
I was quite interesting in the backing off of the Titan project, so I'm quite looking forward to your next section. I've been sat at MyMac a few times this week, and I've had a couple of Teams meetings, and guess what?
What?
MyMac,
Ooh.
or rather Teams, saw
Mm.
my iPhone as a continuity camera almost straight away. So
And here's the thing, there's absolutely no reason why it shouldn't have done that in the first place.
correct. Well, it
Yeah.
did it tonight, but then I suddenly realized I got a pop-up saying your continuity camera is low on battery. So I had to put the
That could
USB
be a
cable
problem.
in anyway. I
Yeah.
mean,
Oh,
oh dear.
also, I apologize to the 6 people that watch our video, as I forgot to hit the record button on the video last week. And the only reason why I bring it up is that there's a couple of times in last week's show where I actually say something like, well, wait till you see the video because that's
The
going
dot,
to make
yeah,
what it
yeah,
is. And it's like,
yeah.
yeah. And as soon as we got done with the show, I was like, damn, and blast,
What
blast
makes you
and
think?
damn.
What makes you think the people that watch the video on YouTube actually listen to the podcast? So they wouldn't have known anyway. It's only those people that listen to the podcast and thought, I'll go over to the video and watch at 33 minutes and 42 seconds just to see what Guy's on about. Yeah, I don't think there's any issue.
Well,
there.
they should.
They should. I agree with you.
They
Anyway,
should. Are you
what
nodding your head?
mic? What mic is Guy using today?
Well, funny you should ask, like we didn't arrange this ahead of time. Gaz, this week in Guy's silly microphone obsession, he is using the Rode NT1 4th generation. It's an amazing condenser mic with a 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz range, a 1-inch capsule, and a price, and this confuses me. A price of, I see you, wake up right now. A price of $159 for the Signature Series or $219 for the 4th gen, which is the one that I have. Why would the Signature, in what way is the Signature Series different from the 4th gen? I have no idea, but it does come in pretty colors. And
Well,
I'm so
I know
tempted.
I know what's different about the Signature one.
Tell me.
Someone's written all over it.
Yeah, they signed it. Each and every one of them in a great big pink, blue, purple, green
Marker.
capsule that covered like the whole. They're actually very, very nice looking microphones. And I'm really tempted
now
to get one.
Gaz's
Just because
snippets.
it's a different color.
Oh, get away from that silly mic obsession.
It
that
is.
you've
It's
got.
so silly.
Microsoft apparently tried to sell Bing to Apple in 2018, according to Google court filings. Now, how Google court filings know that Microsoft tried to sell Bing, I do not know. Maybe that they were trying to do with a deal with them at the time. I haven't looked into it because I wasn't that interested. But apparently Microsoft did. What do you think would have happened? No, I'm not going to ask you. Let's move on.
Well, honestly, I do have an opinion on this.
You do?
I do.
That's a shame.
I do.
Let's move on.
It's about a microphone, though. The fact that if it's true that Microsoft tried to sell Bing to Apple, why would Apple want to maintain 2 completely different browsers? Because, of course, Bing is a Chromium browser as compared to Safari, which is WebKit based. So number one, I have to sit there and go, why? Why would they even think Apple would be interested? So I don't know where all that came from.
Okay. Apparently there's a website that you see how interested I was. Apparently, do you know how much it costs to make the $3,500 Vision Pro Guy?
$3,500?
No. Apparently, its bill of material comes to just over $1,500. According
They're
to
ripping us off, Gaz.
Yeah. I was just going to mention, actually, I'm going to relate here to the Titan project where they spent X million or possibly billions. I'm sure you'll tell us later. Yes, I do know. I'm nodding my head. No, don't play it. No, don't play it.
Stop me
the
before
thing is,
I
what that cost of materials or bill of materials does not include is all of that research development cost. Anyway, I'm going to move
also
on.
manufacturing marketing,
Yes,
shipping,
yes, yes, yes,
all of it.
yes. Storage, yeah,
Plus,
general logistics.
yeah,
Yes.
and here's the crazy thing about all of it, Gaz. Believe it or not, Apple is entitled to make a profit.
Shocker.
I know. Ooh.
Apparently, Jamf has warned cyber hygiene among many Apple using businesses as abysmal. So it sounds like if you're a business and you are using Apple products, your IT team may be being just a little bit lazy in terms of security.
Oh, security.
Yes.
I thought
Yes.
maybe the IT team was being unhygienic.
They're just those dirty hippies
Smelly,
types.
smelly
Those
hippie
dirty
types.
hippie types. Oh, this story just went on and on and on and on and on. I've got a few links to it. The Apple blocking web apps in Europe looks set to lead to an antitrust investigation. Probably more coming up in a little bit. Ah, dear. The European Commission forced Apple to discontinue web apps in the EU. As Apple prepares to comply with the Digital Markets Act, the company is turning off the ability to use web apps right from the iPhone screen in the European Union. More later. More
Yeah.
later.
Be
Apple
careful
TV
what you wish for.
Apple TV Plus renews 4 series and cancels just one so far this year. The ones that have been have continued are Slow Horses, that's been renewed. Hijack, that's been renewed. Invasion, that's been renewed. Boring. Criminal Record, that was very good. That's been renewed. Ship, ship. I said this earlier. I can't say it now.
Ship of fools?
No, I can't say sugar. I
Spell it.
can't even. SCHMIGADOON.
Oh, Shimadoon, something like that.
No, that's not right either. Oh, I said it to myself earlier.
I
Anyway,
know
that's been
it's the musical weird
yes,
thing that they
that's it.
can't
That's it.
leave,
That's
and
it.
yeah,
And
I watched one
everybody's now
episode and
shouting
went,
at me. Everybody's now screaming at that, and everybody else in vicinity that can see them shouting at their iPod, going that word.
yeah,
He's going, "What is wrong with you?"
yeah. Plus other
Anyways,
words, I'm sure.
that's been cancelled. I've
We
got to
can't even
say,
say it.
we're watching Constellation at the moment. Boy, is that hard work. We have watched the first 4 episodes,
I haven't seen that one
and
yet.
I am thinking, I'm watching it with Mrs. Gaz, and she's, we're both kind of thinking, when will it actually start? But it's kind of drawn us in a little bit, but we'll see. We'll see how
That's the way I was with the morning show, or still am, I guess, since I don't
Yeah.
watch it.
Apparently, this article says, does Apple Arcade have a smell of death surrounding it? Do you know, I kind of yeah,
Just thinking
we
about those poor IT guys.
I kind of know where they're coming from at this, because I keep going into Arcade for looking for decent titles,
Yeah,
and I
something
keep
new.
thinking, oh, come on, just be a little bit more interactive, just be more development, just be a better game. It's just, this is too much chewing gum. So I kind of agree with that headline, to be honest with you. And I tell you what,
Yeah.
Guy, if Arcade disappears, I may then swap out and not buy the all-in-one thing. I don't know, because I'm not sure it's worth it.
The
There are a
all-in-one
couple
thing?
of games.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Apple
Okay.
One, or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
So that's going to make it difficult, but they do need to improve the Apple Arcade selection, I've got to say.
Yeah, and well,
Apparently,
on that note, arcade it's hard, as I agree with you. It's hard to find interesting new games in arcade for me. That's not to say that other people aren't. News, I don't really spend a lot of time at. For various reasons, I don't spend a lot of time with fitness. So if I went back and looked, the only 2 things that I'm really using mostly is Apple TV Plus and the storage bit for iCloud.
yeah, I agree. That's pretty much pretty much what I'm using as well.
Yeah.
So, um, apparently, Apple faces 5 shareholder proposals and doesn't like any of them. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure what they're going to do about that then, because if the shareholders are asking for them and they're going to ignore them, I'm not quite sure how that's going to play. The 5, I think the 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me just make sure I've got all of them here. The 5 are employment protection for opinions differing from Apple policy. The report on the company's removal of religious apps in China, a report on unadjusted pay gaps for women and minorities, and they prepare a transparency report on Apple's use of AI, and a report on human rights policies. So, don't
Okay.
know why.
Human
Don't know why.
rights policies and the China policy. If Apple's going to continue to do business in certain countries, especially an unnamed country where they do 90% of their manufacturing, I don't want to say what country it is. I don't
No,
want to say that out loud. China.
no.
But they have no choice. They have to follow the laws of the different countries that they do business in, including the EU, which is why they keep getting fined all these hundreds of millions of dollars, because the EU is like, well, you have to do, if you want to do business here in the EU, you have to follow our rules and regulations. Okay, well, that's a two-edged sword. That means the same thing in China. It means the same thing in the Middle Eastern countries. It means the same thing everywhere where Apple has a presence. That's how that works. And if the shareholders don't like it, go talk to China, go talk to the EU, go talk to the various countries in the Middle East that want Apple to do things the way they want them to do. That's how it works.
Yeah, that told them. The Vision, I quite like this idea actually. Vision Pro rental by the hour or day ahead of the China launch. Some enterprising types are offering Vision Pro rental in China to satisfy demand to try the product, which is currently only available for purchase in the US. Very enterprising. That's all I can say.
It is. It's enterprising. But how many
Apple,
people in China are going to buy a $3,500 headset?
no, but they might rent them.
Okay.
Apple Ring patent granted.
Is this the ring that's going to control the car?
This is the one ring to rule them all, Guy. Apple has sued or is suing USPTO over refusal to grant AR software trademarks. Apple has filed a lawsuit in Virginia federal court challenging the US Patent and Trademark Office's refusal to grant trademarks covering the company's augmented reality software development tools, Reality Composer and Reality Converter. Apple's Reality Composer and Reality Converter software allows developers to create and alter 3D augmented reality content. Okay, nothing from Guy. Okay, Netflix confirms subscribers will lose access if you're paying through Apple.
Okay, let me see. You're losing subscribers by the handful anyway, and you're going to tell people who subscribe safely through Apple that you're going to drop them too. Good call. Real good call there, Netflix. You better keep making the avatar because I'll drop your ass too.
Biden deputy press secretary is leaving the White House, Guy, for Apple. Apple is reportedly hiring away the current White House deputy press secretary, Olivia Allaire Dalton. Currently serves as deputy assistant to the president of the White House, principal deputy secretary, press secretary. Good for her.
Yeah.
Apple.
Hope you do well.
Apple cancels the Apple Car project after more than a decade. More later.
What, Apple said that? Wow.
I didn't say Apple said that. Bloomberg reports that Apple has officially cancelled its effort. So Bloomberg has reported that Apple has officially, but Apple haven't officially said it, have they? Or have they?
They have said nothing. We'll go into that in a little bit.
So how are Bloomberg saying that Apple has officially cancelled it?
Because
They
they're
can't.
Bloomberg.
Yeah. Well, that's not true. You liar! You liar!
Well, they may have, but
Okay.
all we have is the reputation of Bloomberg to go on. Sorry.
Apple investors don't care that the Apple car is cancelled, apparently. Apple Pay Later loans will now appear on Experian credit reports. Well, so they should. No reason why they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Apple will break new ground in generative AI this year. Tim Cook has teased. Ooh, Tim.
New AI.
Yes. Ready?
Then he runs away madly.
Greetings, Tim the Enchanter.
He is. He's the enchanter.
Apple are to disclose AI plans later this year. The CEO Cook tells shareholders.
Wait, is he telling them or teasing them?
Ooh, he's telling them teasingly.
Oh, okay. Good callback. There we go.
Why the death of Apple Car could be a good thing for CarPlay. Actually, I agree with that. I do agree with that. Actually. I don't, I think that could well help out.
But the difference is one is real. I won't say which one, but one is an actual thing, and the other one, as far as we really know, is not.
Apple shareholders vote down artificial intelligence transparency report.
There's a joke there.
The Apple shareholders on Wednesday rejected a proposal for the company to provide an annual artificial intelligence transparency report. There's a very good joke there, including whether the company would be using the technology. I wish I could speak. Technology
Words
ethically.
Words are hard, guys.
Yes.
As we found out earlier.
M3 iMacs are now available in Apple's refurb store. They are coming online more and more. Steep iPhone discounts being offered in China to counter a weak demand there, Guy.
But isn't it like the number one phone in China? So
I
it means
can't
basically
remember.
Sales are down.
Maybe
board.
not. Well, there you go. It doesn't give you that piece of information. It doesn't say what the comparison is, but discounts are being offered. Doesn't say that Apple's offering those discounts.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about that.
Got to think this through a little bit more.
Yeah. What does Min Ji Kuo have to say? Rumors.
Apple self-service repair program now includes the M3 MacBook Pro and iMac. Jolly good. Gene Munster guy says Apple should buy Rivian after pulling the Apple car plug.
I wish I had known.
No, why would, I'll repeat it, don't you? Why would Gene Munster?
I'm still not ready.
Why would Gene Munster?
Done.
That's
okay,
not
good
it.
Enough.
That's good enough. All I can say to Gene Munster is there are probably other very good reasons around not being able to create software which can drive a car on its own, which are much better reasons for not buying Rivian. They don't just want to buy a car.
Sorry.
Can you stop, please? You keep interrupting me, and I'm getting just a little bit sick and tired of it now, okay? Now stop it. They could have bought any number of different car firms if they'd wanted to, especially e-firms. But no, Gene Munster, they didn't buy them because they wanted to make the technology better in terms of self-driving cars. Apple TV Plus.
Said,
done. Will you let me finish?
Yes.
Or will you let me start even? Get your timing right. Apple TV Plus, he's doing it again. Apple TV Plus adds a limited time library of 50 movies to stream for free Fantastic. Only problem is for us outside of the US is it's only available to subscribers in the US. Apple on EU iOS changes has done its best, but the DMA makes users less safe. Apple is set to release iOS 17.4 to the public next week with a major update for EU users that allows third-party apps and more. Hang on a minute. Now ahead of the Digital Markets Act going into effect, Apple has shared the most up-to-date and comprehensive resource about all the changes in its approach and efforts to protect user security and privacy in the European Union. There's more coming. Ridley Scott's Napoleon movie is now available for streaming on Apple TV.
For those of us with 3 to 4 hours with nothing else to do.
A number of government agencies have concerns about sideloading on the iPhone, Apple says. This is just, I think it's completely maddening. Completely maddening. Apple says iOS 17.4 won't remove home screen web apps in the EU after all.
Wait, would you say that again?
Apple says that iOS 17.4 won't remove home screen web apps in the EU after all, because they said that they were going to remove them.
Yeah. But how can they remove that feature from
Last
Safari?
month, Apple confirmed that iOS 17.4 would remove support for home screen web apps in the European Union. At the time, Apple said this decision was due to requirements under the Digital Markets Act related to support for alternative browser engines on the iPhone. Apple is now taking back that decision and says it will continue to offer the existing home screen web apps capability in the EU.
I smell another fine.
Apple does deep dive into security protections and risks with alternative app marketplaces, which I mentioned a little while ago. They have created a whole document, I think, and said,
you want to be very careful what you wish for, especially when it comes to the security of your users.
Apple's card savings account balance is limited, but it's been increased to $1 million, Guy. So that's all right for you. At least you can put some in there.
Boy,
now.
I was really worried about that.
Spotify and other companies have criticized Apple in a letter to the EU Commission. I just find this hilarious. It just goes back. It's like a tennis match. It's like one of those final set tennis matches at Wimbledon where you have to be 2 games ahead to win the match. And at the moment, nobody can get 2 games ahead. I just like this title. It's a repeat of what I said about now Apple says it won't banish home screen maps in Europe. EU turn. EU turn. EU.
I thought you said you actually like this title.
U-turn. EU turn. I liked it. You didn't, obviously.
EU U-turn?
I've got one more story, which I didn't find through my
usual sources,
NetNewsWire application. It actually came to me via our good friend over at Mac and Forth.
Steve.
And Steve. Yes, Steve. And basically, it was about a software engineer who wore Apple Vision Pro to his wedding, much to his bride's chagrin.
Yeah.
I've got the link. I'll put it in the show notes. The picture shows her face looking at him while he's got a slight grin on his face wearing this headset. And you can tell she's not happy. And I've got to say, I think he's been a bit of a twit myself.
Well, Gaz, you know that thing that usually happens after two loving, committed people are married and they're finally by themselves again.
Yeah.
Didn't happen that night.
That is the end of Gaz's snippets. Oh dear.
No children in this marriage. I just don't see it happening.
Ah, there you go. Thank you.
Don't you have a link?
I've just put it in. That's what that was what I was
Okay.
talking about.
Okay.
The
well,
reason
you
no,
usually break that
no,
up.
listen, you didn't listen to me though, did you? It was an
To what?
Apple related link. It wasn't a Gaz's link, which wasn't Apple related. When I finished Apple News on my snippets, I do the music, and then I do a Gaz's link, so I restart the music because it isn't related to anything Apple. But that was related to Apple because of heads. That's a bit like your reaction there was a bit like my reaction when you were talking about mics.
Well, you're obviously extremely interested because who isn't interested about microphones? Come on. All right. So what we're going to talk about this week is the shelving of Project Titan. Now,
that's a big shelf, though, isn't it?
It's a huge shelf, yes. And you had to put extra reinforcements in here because of all the batteries. Okay, that's how that works. So, we're a little bit of history. Project Titan reportedly was a division of Apple dedicated to the research and development of an electric car to be manufactured. But why? Hold on. By Apple. Or at least that's what most of the rumor mongering sites claimed, as Apple to date has yet to acknowledge the project, what it might have been for, or what the reasons might have been for shelving it. So let's go into this realizing that unicorns and fairy dust is real, so as not to suspend belief. Okay? Unicorns and fairy dust is real. Ugh. Moving on from that, taking a trip in the Wayback Machine of who the hell really knows, patent pending 2024. Steve Jobs himself expressed interest in creating an electric car around the time that the iPhone was introduced and when Tesla debuted their first car in 2008. From 2008 to 2015, according to what all these people were saying, Apple was stealthily working on an electric car by showing absolutely no interest and with there being zero information available. In 2015, a few Apple board members and higher-ups in management for Apple said that indeed, Jobs had been interested in such a thing, and rumors were spread that Apple's CEO, Tim Cook, had approved the project to commence with related engineers being hired to work. At some point, Gaz, nearly every company that has actually been successful in marketing cars, electric or not, was going to partner with Apple to manufacture this car. An unveiling was set to occur in 2019 and a launch date of 2020. I suppose it needs to be said that 2019 and 2020 passed with neither event happening.
Yes, but unicorns and fairy dust was real.
They are real. Thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that. Thumbs up. Oh, sorry. Thumbs up. If you watch the video, you'll see our thumbs raised. And we're recording it this week for sure. Now, Tim Cook himself added fuel to the fire when he said in an interview dated in 2015, it would seem like there will be a massive change in that industry. Massive change. You may not agree with that. That's what I think. We'll see what we do in the future. I do think that the industry is at an inflection point for massive change. Now, having said that, in 2015 to 2020, there were a lot of reports of the following. One, Apple had some autonomous vehicles of differing counts permitted to be tested on roads in California. Part of this being public records is true. Two, the number of people working on this project numbered between a few hundred to over 1,000, and even some reports stating over 5,000. Number 3, related to number 2, large amounts of hiring with equal reports of layoffs happening all at various times. Number 4, none of the reported hires or those let go seem to be able to speak about the project with anything resembling believability, so other reports of Men in Black mind-wiping devices are also assumed to be true. Number 5, Apple was allegedly attending conferences related to the manufacturing of electric cars or autonomous vehicles, or both. Number 6, Apple purchasing several companies with ties to electric cars or words are hard, autonomous driving. Number 7, in 2020, the date for the rollout was pushed to the 2024-2025 timeframe. Now, most outlets reported about Apple teaming up with different companies that had US-based manufacturing plants. Another fun rumor was that the car, on the one hand, was only going to be autonomous for highways, while somehow at the same time would not have a driver's seat or a steering wheel. Let that sink in. Bloomberg seemed to take over around 2022, reporting on Project Titan. Many of the others just seemed to tire of the subject or couldn't come up with creative ways to discuss something that had almost no proof, but relied on innuendo.
I like what you did there.
Yeah. With that in mind, Bloomberg reported that the Apple car would be priced under $100,000 and that Apple had reduced their plans for self-driving and would instead focus on driving assistive technologies. It's assumed that that would include a seat for the driver and a steering wheel. Finally, even Bloomberg had had enough, and in February of 2024, reported that Apple had canceled the project with a final release date of 2030. Okay, I'm just kidding. Bloomberg never said the 2030 bit. So that's in a nutshell. And and I left out so much because considering that this was a project that Apple never talked about, never said anything one way or the other about it being real or infused with fairy dust, it generated so much hype and rumors that, it was like, it almost seemed like every single week, Gaz, there would be something in Gaz's snippets that would be related to this project. And I think almost every single time, either you or I or both of us were like snickering in our fists and wondering why the hell they're even talking about this. So having said all that and listened to all the stuff that I wrote, which hopefully will become an article over at mymac.com, what do you think?
I'd like to ask Steve what he thinks, actually.
Okay.
So Steve, would you like Apple to create a car in the future?
You betcha.
So, confirming that Titan has been a project with Apple for some time now, how's it going?
Is driving us crazy.
So are you going to actually produce a car?
No.
I think we can all agree with Steve.
We can.
We can. Head nodding.
Hit it. Gaz's tips. Mostly clear. Gaz's tips. Mostly clear. Gaz's
Fairy
tips.
dust.
It's time for Gaz's tip.
Unicorns.
Not in this section.
Not in
Guy.
this section.
Not in
This is
section.
real stuff.
Recently, I mentioned using the split windows option, with the red, green, and amber buttons on each of your windows.
Yes.
Actually on the green option, really. Well, have you also tried holding the option key when you want to use your mouse to resize a window? Well, try it, Guy, when either you resize at the top or the bottom or sides, but also on the diagonal of a window. Now that you've tried that, have a go using the shift key and see how that works. Now, that's all well and good, I hear you all shouting at me. How many times do you need to change your window size? And I agree. But what's neat about this process is that in many apps, if you have something to resize that has a grab handle on it, like a shape in Pages, for example, using both of these options has the same effect. And that could really be useful. Nod your head, Guy.
Ooh. Oh, sorry. I'm so busy looking at the unicorn dust of
Gazzy's
and
tip.
I've lost, oh my God, I've lost Farrago. How did I lose Farrago? It's here. I swear it's still here. There it is. I found it. Good luck for everyone.
Hit it. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end of Gaz's tips. That's the end
Just
of
like nothing
Gaz's
happened.
tips.
Is that the end of the tip?
Will you let me finish?
Gaz, you are absolutely right.
There we go. All righty. No for pick's sake this week. I don't believe, unless you have something, we don't
Nope.
have any.
No, I would
feedback.
put it in. I would put it in if I did.
Well, you missed out on Mac Gems. It did happen.
That's not.
You know,
that's not the pick's sake, though, is it?
No, it's not, and it's not like I've ever made a mistake on this show, ever. Said last week's video recording that I can't seem to find for some reason. If you would like to,
Whoa,
let's see.
whoa! It's in the show notes. Come on, follow it down.
Oh, well, but then we did get some feedback
We did from Mac
and it was
Jim.
from Jim, from Mac Jim.
Yes,
And he
was
says
about-
it was in reference to Guy not switching on some equipment on the previous show.
Yes,
Cheers, Jim.
yes. It was either this one.
Guy and Gaz on the MyMac podcast show, the Switched On show.
He sent that in reference to you not switching some equipment on in the previous show. And this was a few weeks ago. So you could send
Well-
it in again, Jim, because last week I forgot to
He's
press the
wrong.
button to do the recording.
He's wrong. It's all gone horribly, horribly wrong. It's okay. It's not my fault, and it's not Gaz's fault. I blame Jim because he's not here to
Jim's
defend
fault.
himself.
Brilliant.
Oh, and I think Jim, if you have a Wooty, let me know. If you don't have a Wooty, I will
Don't
make
let
one
him know.
for you. So just let me know, and we'll take care of that. Toot sweet. And for
Sweet.
anyone else,
Toot
if you do
sweet.
some feedback or something that we look at and go, wow, that's really nice, I will send you a Wooty. And if you don't know what a Wooty is, it's a big W, big O, big T, little I, little E, exclamation mark. That is a Wooty. And it's an amazing thing. If you would like to help support the show, even when I forget to do video, you can do so by going to Patreon, patreon.com/MacPettit. You can buy me a coffee. I don't know why it still makes me laugh every time. You can buy me a coffee at ko-fi.com/MacPettit. You can also make a PayPal donation by sending that to paypal.me/MacPettit. And you don't have to. We'll keep doing a show whether you do or you don't. But it sure would be nice to have some support. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Now, Gaz.
What?
Wait, gotta wipe away the tears. If people wanted to follow you and say, what is up with Guy and his crocodile tears, how would they do that?
Easy. Send an email to gaz@mymac.com, Gaz
Guys.
at mymac.com, or on any of the socials. You can pretty much find me as Gazmaz. And if you're struggling to find me as Gazmaz, Gazmaz,
Guys.
on any of those
Guys.
socials, send me an email at gaz@mymac. You see what I did there? At
I did.
mymac.com, and we'll see if we can
And how do you
fix
spell
it.
that?
Or Gaz
Cars.
mymac.com. You can also contact Guy and myself. This is
Yep.
the only time I'll do this, because this is just the one instance that we have it. You can get in contact with Guy and Gaz, GUYAND
Hey, wait,
GAZ, on
Yes,
X.
ours.
You can also send an email to feedback@mymac.com. FWDBACK. Yes.
His name was Guy.
He's the guy.
Guy's the one. Guy.
Guy?
You remember Guy?
Guy says,
I like to go with Guy. Do we know it was a guy?
It doesn't. It was.
You remember Guy?
Yeah, they should.
If you want,
An email from Guy.
no fooling.
how would they do it?
Catch my breath there for a second. You can do so by sending me an email to at mymac.com. Eventually we'll get tired of that bit, but not yet. At least I'm not tired of it. You can also go on over to the website, of course, mymac.com, as well as vertshark.com. And you can find me over on some of the social networks on X, Twitter, Counter Social, and Mastodon.social. I have MacPettit. And I also have over on the X Twitter's VertShark. Now, Gaz, there is a voice number that they can call, which you can also get a Woody for if you're the first time calling this number. Well, let me rephrase that. Not that, because we've had lots of people call that number, but if it's your first time calling that number and leaving a voicemail, what is that number, Gaz?
That number, Guy, is 703 828 4677.
That's what I heard.
703 828 4677.
I like that number. So
703 828 4677.
see, it should have like a jingle. We need to create a jingle for it. Record it, and then when we get to this part of the show, we just go into Farrago and hit that magic button. Yeah.
I'll do one next. Will you let me finish? I'll do one for next week.
Sounds like a winner. I like it. Shaking his head ruefully at the fact that I'm just talking over him when he's trying to say something. He's nodding his head.
Don't care.
I would like to say to all of you, thank you. Thank you so very much for downloading and listening to the MyMac.com podcast. It is greatly appreciated by both Gaz and myself. And that's not a joke. We really, really do appreciate the fact that you guys listen. But I think, Gaz, that we're good enough. And I think that we're smart enough. Though, some might not agree 100%. StreamYard, for example, might not agree with that all the time. And that, doggone it, Wilf, and you will never be able to see him push his way into the room. And it was so friggin' cute. And then as soon as Gaz turned around to talk to him, he ran out of that room like his little cute tail that you can't see in pictures was on fire. On fire. People like us.
Guy, did you know that cavemen couldn't hear pterodactyls going to the bathroom?
Why not?
Because the P is silent.
Oh, that's good.
And double entendre. No, that's not right.
What if they were doing number 2? Well, you call that poo, I guess. So the poo is silent too.
The poo is silent. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God, because pterodactyls, they had some smelly poo. They really did. All right, hold on.
nothing to worry about. Get out of here now. Go on home and go home.